Okay, this is part 2 because I had a call, and apparently when you have a call, it ends your video. I don't know how to edit, so this will probably be a separate video. If I get calls, I don't know if I can do anything about it because I don't know how to edit. So, sadly, there might be another part. You never know. For now, this is part 2. We left off on the mass of the M4. The length, so I'll go over the mass. 6.63 pounds with the magazine empty, which is 3.01 kilograms. 7.75 pounds with 30 rounds in the magazine, or 3.52 kilograms. Okay, that's where we left off. The length with the extended stock, this is not extended. With everything, the barrel to the extended stock is 33 inches, or 838 millimeters. Sorry, taking a lot of deep breaths because I'm nervous. Just the barrel length, so the tip of the barrel, hey, you see my hand, to pretty much like right there is the barrel. That is 14.5 inches, or 368 millimeters. Oops, there's a voice crack. The cartridge it uses is a 5.56 by 45 millimeters, and it's a NATO round. So NATO, if you don't know what it is it's pretty much like, hey, if we ever get attacked, we'll help each other. So it's a bunch of European countries, and it's a bunch of North American countries. Maybe South American too, I'm not too sure. But United States is in NATO, and all of NATO uses the 5.56 by 45 millimeter round. It's gone back and forth. It's just easier if we're all using one round. I mean, it's pretty simple, and that's the standard. Our military, like, we have the Barrett 50 caliber. We have snipers that are in, I believe, 338 Lapua, but those are sort of specialty rounds. I mean, we even have, rocket launchers and stuff like that. That's different calibers. Anyways, that's the standard round. Now, by the way, 5.56 is also in millimeters, just so you know. For once, we're not being American and putting it in inches. That's just not how it worked out. The caliber is the beginning of 5.56, so it's 5.56 millimeters, or if you ever hear 223 is the Americanized version, 0.223 inches. So for all you Europeans and mainly Europe, but other countries like that, didn't mean to be rude there, by the way, you're using 5.56. America is using 223. That's just how it goes, apparently. I didn't make up the rules, so don't get mad at me. The rate of fire, which is how fast it can shoot, is 700 to 950 rounds per minute. That would probably be on, it's going to be on full auto. Now, that's a lot. That's not involving mag changes, anything. It's just what it can do. Taken to standard, machine guns can do way more than that, but this is not supposed to be a machine gun. It's more of a quote-unquote assault rifle, even though that's not technically a thing, it's a nickname. It's just a standard weapon. It's, hey, let's keep their heads down, right? We are going to use full auto. If I want to make an accurate shot, I'm using semi-auto. If anyone, by the way, is just watching part 2, make sure you watch part 1. If you're not gonna, this is the M4 carbine, this is the M16, and this is the M1 carbine. And this is in order from newest to oldest. But I would highly recommend to watch part 1. It clears a lot of stuff up. the optimal firing range, so effective, like I can still make decently accurate shots, probably hit a guy in at least 3 accurate shots. I mean, that's not too bad to ask for. That's going to be within 550 yards or 500 meters. Can I see that far? Probably not, but you got it. And it uses its standard 30-round box mag. I know this has a little bit of curve. That's because airsoft and it looks cool. Now, we're going to compare the M16 and the M1 carbine to the M4 carbine. See, is it really an improvement? So the M16, just a little bit of backstory. It was first introduced in 1964. It did not fully get out to the troops for a couple years. Like my grandfather was in Vietnam in the first year. He still used an M14, which is the replacement of an M1 Garand. Even that wasn't fully given to the troops. People were still using M1 Garands when the M16 was out. Really confusing there. But pretty much the M14 is an upgrade of an M1 Garand, but not fully to the M16 yet. As you can see with the markings of M1, M14, M16, stuff like that. It is still used today, even though it is replaced. It's still used. I mean, if I go into the special operations and I'm a high enough guy, like sergeant, captain, if I really want to, I could say, hey, I want to use an M1 carbine, and if it's easy enough, I can use an M1 carbine. But it's still used today by a lot of marksmen, things like that. Like, the U.S. Army still uses it. Not Army, military forces. Or armed forces, sorry. And both of them, the M4 and the M16, are both made by Colt. Now, Colt is a firearms manufacturer. They go all the way back to the 1700s or the 18s. 1700s. Well, not 1700s, the 1900s, sorry. Centuries are messed up and just weird. But pretty much, let's say, like, 1860 was a really good year for Colt. They came out with the Colt double action revolver that really peaked Colt's military career, like really by a lot, because now they're finally getting to grab a lot of attention to the military, not just a little bit. Anyways, that was like 100 years from when we're talking, or 150, something like that. So the specs for the M16 are going to be very similar, and that really intrigued me when I was looking at them, because the M4 sometimes is not lighter, which really confused me here, but I mean, we're here, right? Main reason is because the original M16 held 10 less rounds. Anyways, we'll get into that. So the M16 here, this one right here, its mass, without bullets, without a magazine, was 6.37 pounds. Which is lighter than the M4. Now, I will say, I did get everything from Wikipedia. So, they're known to be wrong. But it's the easiest way to get it, easiest way to inform you guys if you don't want to go and try to find everything. Links will probably be in, they have to be in the description. I'll put them in part 1 and part 2. They'll be in the description if you guys want to check it out. So, it's for kilograms, it's 2.89 kilograms, and that's empty for the M16. For it fully loaded up with its magazine and its 20 rounds and its original magazine, it's 7.51 pounds, or 3.4 kilograms. So this is where it confuses me, because the M4 is supposed to be lighter. This is supposed to be lighter than the M16, and I think it is. It's just because it has 10 more rounds, I believe. But even when it's empty, I believe it should be less, but apparently it's not. Anyways, the length of the whole M16 from the barrel all the way to the stock is 39.5 inches, or 1,003 millimeters. That's longer than the M4's 33 inches by 6.5 inches. That's a lot. That really is. And it really shows in the range and the accuracy of the bullets. We didn't go through the accuracy of the bullets, but we are going through the range. Accuracy of the bullets is, if you have a longer barrel, it's going to stay more straight. It's not going to spread out as much. Now, is it going to be by like 3 foot when you get far enough? Yes. But it's not going to be like, hey, it's going to be spread 3 foot difference in 20 yards. Not at all. You'll barely see any difference with just a naked eye. You won't at all, really. But the length of the barrel for the M16, from here, it's off screen, all the way to like right there, is 20 inches. Which is 5.5 more inches than the M4. Now, when I said 6.5, that's wrong. That's because the stock is 1 inch longer. And you may say, well, that's not really right. These are out of proportion images. Also, this is in the contracted form. I'm basing it off of the extended form of the stock. So that's 5.5 inches in the barrel difference, which really adds up. Now, it has the same round. They both use 5.56 by 45. And the caliber's the same, 5.56 millimeters, 0.223 inches, sorry. And the rate of fire is the exact same too. So the mechanics are they are the same. Which is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's really good, because you can use the same mechanics, I believe. Don't trust me on that, by the way. I mean, you can trust me, it's pretty much the same. But if you're building an AR-15 to be an M4, do not go off of my information. Go off of a gun building site, something like that, because I'm just a guy on the internet. So, the M16 also has a little further range. Now, is that good, is that bad? Because you're shooting, well, let's see here. You'll be shooting maximum 600 yards, you'll be shooting accurate, maybe a little bit more. Sadly, I could not transfer it to meters. Sorry about that. But it's just very, do you need those extra 50, 100, 150 yards if you can't even see that far sometimes? Your sights might not even be able to go that far. I mean, I don't know. Do you need that much? That's, of course, why they made the M4. They decided, no, you don't. Now we're going on to the M1, mainly the M2 Carbine. They're the same thing, except different mechanics between the M1 and a different version of the M1, the M2 Carbine. Now, the M2 Carbine has a selector switch to be semi-auto and fully automatic. That came later in the war. Later in the war, as in World War II. You can still see American troops using full auto M2 carbines in World War II videos and documentaries, stuff like that. That actually come from footage of World War II, not like redid videos, you know. The M1 carbine for the US was used from 1942 to 1973. If we go back to the date of the M16, it was first used in 1964. That means that the M1/M2 carbine was used 9 years. 9 years. It took them 9 years to get troops, just U.S. troops, not even Vietnamese, Filipino, all our other type of islands and friends. Not even them. Just 9 years to get our troops changed from the M16 to from the M2 to the M16. That's crazy. 9 years. And then the M4 came out. Let's see here. It came out. Let's see here. Sorry. I can't find it. In 94. So, when everybody got the M16, the last guy that got it, if he got the first M4, he would have only had it for 21 years. Which is the same. No, it's actually 10 years less than the amount that the M1 carbine was out. No, that was really confusing, bumping back and forth. Sorry about that. Anyways, we're going to go on to the mass of the M1/M2 carbine. I'm just going to say M1 until I get to stuff that's only the M2, like full auto and fire rate, or rate of fire. So, the mass of the M1 carbine is 5.2 pounds, or 2.4 kilograms, and that's when it doesn't have ammo or anything like that. So, when the magazine and ammo is in, this mag and ammo is going to be 5.8 pounds, or 2.6 kilograms. Also, sorry if there's background noise. I am in a house and don't have my own house yet. Still living with the parents, so there is going to be background noise. The length of the whole gun. Now, let me go back to that. That is lighter than the M16 and the M4. So the M1 carbine was better for weight because it's a wood stock. It's not metal or polymer. It's wood. That really cuts down on the weight. There's less metal inside of it because during World War II, you needed the metal for tanks and for grenades, stuff like that, planes. You couldn't use metal on a stock. Or you could, but it would be more expensive and harder to do. You wouldn't make as much, like the Thompson machine gun. You didn't have many of those because they were metal, not wood. The length of the whole thing, from the barrel all the way to the stock, 35.6 inches, or 900 millimeters. Let's see here. That's shorter than the M16, and it's shorter than, no, it's actually longer than